I'm Bertha. Standing in the opulent ballroom of the Aspen Lodge, I watched as the silence that followed my words was almost deafening. My mother's eyes widened in shock, and my father lowered his glass, his face dark with confusion and irritation. Just moments ago, I'd stepped forward, my heels striking the marble floor with a sharp click that turned every head. Conversations faltered, and my mother gasped, "Bertha, how did you get in here?" I didn't waste time on pleasantries. I lifted my phone and said calmly, "Margaret, cancel the Thompson family's presidential suite, effective immediately." As I look back now, I can't help but think about how I got to this moment. I grew up in a family where appearances were everything. My father, Mr. Thompson, was a powerful real estate mogul. He built his empire through hard work and a shrewd business sense. Success, in his eyes, was measured by the size of your property and the thickness of your wallet. My mother, Mrs. Thompson, was a socialite who lived to uphold the family's prestigious image. She was always dressed in the finest clothes and attended the most exclusive events. My older sister, Vivian, was their golden child. At 28, she was already a well-known figure in high society circles. She had a talent for networking and a knack for making the right connections. Every holiday, she would float through the room in designer gowns, the spotlight firmly on her. I, on the other hand, was the black sheep of the family. When I decided to study hospitality instead of following in my father's footsteps in business development, he was furious. "Hotels are for the common people, Bertha. Service is beneath us," he said one evening, a glass of brandy in his hand. My mother nodded in agreement, and Vivian took every opportunity to remind me of my so-called failure. For years, I kept my head down and worked hard. I let them believe that I was struggling to make a living managing budget hotels. Little did they know that those budget hotels were the foundation of my own empire, Royal Hotels. I spent countless hours in airport lounges, poring over contracts, and many sleepless nights during holidays, drawing up acquisition plans while they were busy celebrating. That December night at the Aspen Lodge was supposed to be their grand show. Vivian had planned every detail, from the imported pine garlands to the crystal flutes with the Thompson family crest. I wasn't on the guest list, of course. In their eyes, I didn't belong in this world of luxury and privilege. I stood in the lobby, watching the snow swirl against the glass. I heard Aunt Emily ask, "Did you hear from Bertha?" My mother replied sharply, "Oh, she won't be joining us. Every hotel is fully booked. She should have reserved a room months ago." Everyone laughed, and Vivian leaned in and said, still chasing her little hotel project, "Imagine spending Christmas in a roadside motel." The irony was almost too much to bear. For 5 years, I had hidden behind the mask of a simple hospitality consultant. While they mocked me, I was signing multi-billion-dollar contracts. I used shell companies to hide my name and slowly built Royal Hotels into the most ambitious luxury hospitality group in the world. But the old wounds still hurt. My father's words from years ago echoed in my head. Real estate builds legacies. Hotels serve drinks. The disdain in his eyes was the same as when he looked at the staff who didn't meet his standards. That night, as he raised his glass of brandy, I could see the same look on his face as he muttered, "At least Bertha is employed. Though managing budget hotels is hardly a career." In that moment, something inside me snapped. I was tired of hiding. I wanted the truth to be out in the open. And I knew I had the perfect opportunity. While they were toasting to my absence, my phone buzzed. It was a confirmation from my legal team. The transfer of the Aspen Lodge, their crown jewel, would finalize at midnight. They thought I was invisible, but soon they would have no choice but to see me. Midnight approached quietly. Snow drifted across the windows, muffling the sound of the carolers outside. Inside the ballroom, my family was enjoying their moment of glory, surrounded by friends and the warm glow of the fire. I let them have one last moment of happiness. Then I stepped forward and made my move. As the lobby screens flickered to life, showing the breaking news that Royal Hotels had acquired the Aspen Lodge and 20 luxury properties worldwide, along with a photo of me standing in front of one of my flagship hotels with my name bold beneath the headline Bertha Thompson, CEO and founder of Royal Hotels. The shock on their faces was priceless. My father's brandy slipped from his fingers and crashed to the floor. My mother's perfect smile crumbled, and Vivian fumbled with her phone, scrolling through the headlines in disbelief. "All luxury hotels are fully booked," she whispered, as if trying to deny the reality. "Not anymore," I replied. "I own them. Every 5-star property in Aspen now operates under Royal Hotels." The room erupted in murmurs. Guests who had once sneered at me now stared at me with a mix of awe and unease. My family stood frozen in the center, exposed under the glittering lights of what they thought was their perfect Christmas. I met my father's eyes. "You said hotels don't build legacies." "You were wrong," I said calmly. It wasn't anger that filled me, it was clarity. Years of ridicule, dismissal, and exclusion had led to this moment. My counterattack wasn't a shout or a fight, it was the simple truth. My mother clutched her pearls, her painted nails trembling. My father's jaw clenched so hard I thought his glass might shatter. Vivian looked like she'd been stripped bare in front of everyone. Then my phone buzzed again. Another notification flashed across the screens. Royal Hotel stock surges on $8 billion Aspen acquisition. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some of the Thompson family's oldest friends and business partners turned their heads away, suddenly embarrassed to be standing beside them. My father finally broke the silence. "This is absurd. You can't possibly." "I can," I cut in, my voice sharper than I expected. And I did. At midnight, the Aspen Lodge became royal property, along with every luxury resort in town. You mocked me for years, called me a failure for managing hotels. But tonight, you'll sleep in a roadside motel while the world sees me for what I am, the woman who built an empire you couldn't even imagine. Vivian's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, and she scrambled for her phone, muttering, "No. This can't be." "It is," I said, stepping closer. "And every guest in this lodge now answers to my company. That means your suite, your annual Christmas throne, no longer belongs to you." My mother's voice cracked. "Bertha, you can't do this. It's Christmas." I almost laughed. "You never cared if I was alone on Christmas. You never noticed when I spent holidays working, saving, building. Why should tonight be any different? Actions have consequences." The murmur of guests grew louder. A senator whispered into his wife's ear, reporters scrambled to get video footage, and the local mayor appeared at the edge of the room, stunned. I turned back to my family. "You said service is beneath us, that hotels aren't real business. Tell me, how does it feel now knowing the people you treated as invisible now stand above you?" My father's face flushed crimson. He stepped forward, pointing at me. "You ungrateful." I didn't let him finish. I raised my phone again. "Security, escort the Thompson family from the presidential suite, effective immediately." 2 elite staff members in immaculate uniforms stepped through the crowd. They didn't hesitate. They'd been briefed. In that moment, the symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. The daughter once excluded from family Christmas now had the power to exclude her own parents and sister. My mother sputtered, "You can't possibly mean." "Oh, I do," I said calmly. "Because Royal Hotels has a strict policy. Guests who disrespect hospitality staff are permanently blacklisted, and you, every single one of you, qualify." Vivian lunged toward me, her perfect facade cracking. "Bertha, please. We didn't know. If we had known, we would have." I held her gaze, remembering every snide remark, every smirk. "That's exactly the point. You didn't know because you never cared to look past your own reflection." Behind me, the screens cycled through images of royal properties, beachfront villas in the Maldives, glass towers in Dubai, and snow-covered chalets in the Alps. My name glowed beneath every headline. I walked to the center of the room, feeling the weight of every stare. 5 years ago, you told me I was wasting my time, that managing hotels was beneath a Thompson. You mocked me, excluded me, treated me like nothing. Tonight, you will leave this lodge as guests with no room, no power, no standing. And tomorrow, the world will know exactly why. My father glanced around, realizing no ally would step forward. Even his oldest partners were already recalculating their loyalties. He tried one last time. "Sweetheart," he said softly, using a nickname he hadn't called me in years. His voice wavered. "We didn't know." I looked at him. "That's the problem. You never wanted to know." The carolers outside began another song, their voices faint but clear. Inside, my family stood shattered in the middle of their perfect Christmas. Guests whispered, phones flashed, and reporters scribbled notes. The Thompsons, once untouchable, had been brought down by the daughter they dismissed. I turned to security and nodded. "Show them to the Pinewood Motel. It's the only accommodation left during peak season." The humiliation was total. Vivian gasped, my mother looked like she might faint, and my father's shoulders sagged. As they were led toward the exit, I called out, "And Vivian, next time you laugh at someone in hospitality, remember this. They might just own the building." The crowd erupted in applause. Not for them, but for me. I stood there in the glow of the chandeliers, finally seen, finally heard. And for the first time in my life, Christmas belonged to me. The next morning, I sat in my new office on the top floor of the Aspen Lodge, overlooking the mountains. My phone was constantly buzzing with calls from investors, messages from heads of state, and offers I never imagined I'd receive. Meanwhile, my family had spent Christmas Eve in the Pinewood Motel, stripped of the luxury they were used to. The irony wasn't lost on me. For years, they had mocked the very industry that now controlled their fate. But this wasn't just about revenge. It was about justice. I thought of all the housekeepers, bellhops, and front desk clerks who had worked with me to build royal hotels. They were the ones who made it all possible. In the end, I learned that family can betray you, dismiss you, and even erase you from their lives. But their rejection doesn't define your worth. Respect, dignity, and persistence do. I built my own empire on the people who were once invisible, and it saved me.